Hi there, Carrie here. Um, I hope you're doing okay out there today. Um, this video is going to be about synchronicity and if that's actually proof that there is a higher intelligence out there beyond this 3D world. So, yeah, it's really kind of hard for me to like pick and choose the different situations and synchronicities that have happened to me to just put into a video. Well, I say a short video, but I don't think it's going to be too short. But I've just kind of chose a few experiences that really stand out and to me prove that there is another force out there, higher power out there. Um, so yeah, not everybody experiences synchronicity. I didn't used to experience synchronicity, really before my walk-in. I just didn't pay attention to that kind of stuff, and not everybody does. So they really don't, notice it if it happens to them. You have to really start paying attention. And then I feel like once you pay attention, then it'll start happening more because, to me, I feel like it's coming from my spirit guides, my soul, my family on the other side. I call that, I just, as a blanket term, I just say God, my higher power. When I pray, that's who I'm praying to on just on the other side, whoever's listening to me. That's what God means to me. So when I say God, that's really what I mean is just my higher power. Um, and so yes, people say that there's no, proof that there's life beyond this, intelligent life outside of this planet. But if I feel like if they really experienced what I do, then they would know. They would know better. There would be no question about that. So I have the proof inside of my soul and I just have that knowing, that gnosis. Um, yeah, and it's just a personal proof. And when it happens to you, I mean, and that could be said with a lot of things, UFOs, out of body kinds of experiences, near death experiences. I haven't had those, but you just don't get it and you don't believe it until it happens to you. So there's that. And when it does start happening to you, or if it has happened to you, you're sitting there like, who's orchestrating this? Like that's some powerful, clever timing. Like the last couple of days, like I walk into a store, and it's like the songs that are playing is meant for me. Like they get my attention, and I'm just like, whoa, and you just overwhelmed with a knowing. Like, or you see a license plate that's like right boom in front of your face. You know that that's meant for you. Now, you can kind of drive yourself crazy being like, I was driving and I was parked and I was waiting on a light and I'm like looking around at the license plates. I don't think I really need to do that because if it's meant for me, it'll be like, how right in front of my face, you know? So, I'm learning to kind of reel that in a little bit and not go overextend myself to look for the signs and just wait for it to be right in front of my face. So I'll know that that was meant for me. Because it does happen a lot. So let me get into a few of my experiences that I want to share about this synchronicity and how powerful it is. So my mom had come over one day and just out of the blue. And were making dinner, and we were like, well, do you want to stay for dinner? So we didn't have enough spaghetti sauce, so I had to go and buy some. But before I left, I was like, let me put on Carol Burnett for you because she always loved Carol Burnett. And so I searched it on YouTube and I put it on the first episode that I saw, full episode. And I put it on, I went to the store, I came back and I sat down next to her and right as soon as I sat down, a skit came on. The whole skit, brand new, just came on. It just came on the screen and I'm like, wow, class of Waxahachie, 1932. And I live in Waxahachie. That's where I'm from. And I was like, that's interesting. And then Carol Burnett and Betty White are dressed as old women. And Carol walks in and she's like, Letitia? And that's my sister's name. So immediately I'm just thrown back like, wow, the timing of that really was perfect. Everything that went into setting that synchronicity up, that was perfect to me. I was like just blown away. Now everybody else, my daughter Callista and her boyfriend, they didn't really pay much attention to it, but I was blown away by that. Um, Another thing, two other things that have to do with my mom. Um, my mom actually had a stroke and she was in a rehab center. And I was really going through it for that and another reason that I won't get into here. But I was about to take a shower and I said out loud, I was listening to Pandora radio on my phone, and I said out loud, don't play anything sad. I don't want to hear that right now. I don't need to hear that. And the very next song that came on was The Saddest Song I've Got by Annie Lennox. I was like, really? That's just crazy. But my mom recently passed this past year. It's actually been a year, but she passed away in February of last year. And the very next day when I woke up, I heard Annie Lennox again, walking on broken glass. And it was that part that said, the sun's still shining in the big blue sky. And I just had that knowing. It came over me, overwhelming that was a message from her that she's, okay on the other side. Uh, anyway, so there's that. Um, Now, this one is kind of complicated. It has to do with a karmic relationship that I had with a guy named Chris. It was my last relationship 5 years ago. And I actually, for reasons that I won't get into, believe that we were married on the other side because of some dreams and things that I had about him. During the relationship was very short. It only lasted 6 months. But during that time, he had betrayed me and really hurt me. And then at the end, when that was over, I betrayed him. I said a lie and betrayed him. Um, so yeah. And the other day I woke up hearing, I had a dream. I had a dream about him where I was at his apartment and he was just sitting there playing a guitar. And I was angry at him about some of the things during our relationship. And I was just going after him, like really I think I was trying to upset him, but I was trying to get a reaction. And he just was strumming his guitar, not really reacting. And then the next thing I know, I'm knocking on the door because I left my cell phone in his apartment in the dream. And he wouldn't answer the door, and I'm banging on the door, let me in, I need my cell phone. And I ended up getting a different cell phone. And whenever I looked at it, there was an email from him. And I didn't read the email. The only thing, whenever, like the hello part, the introduction, or it said, and the words were kind of blurred together, but I could make out, um, hello alien. And so he was like saying hi alien to me. And then he was like, chill out. It was like a paragraph and it said, chill out. And then I didn't read it. And actually in the dream, my friend John read it to me and he was like, he wants to make dinner with you sometime. And he was like, after all you've put him through, does he want to make dinner with you? That makes no sense. And then when I woke up, I heard a song, Oblivion by Bastille, playing in my head. And I listened to that. That's not really the point of all this. But I just had him on my mind. And during our relationship, one day, he had introduced me to Tool Numa, that song. It was new back then. And I feel like that kind of activated something in me. So, anyway, the other day after I had that dream, I listened to that. I was driving, I was on my way to see my friend Brandon, and I listened to that song. And then when it was over, the very next song that came on was You Lied by Tool. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Okay. That's a little strange. I'm not going to hit listen to that right now. I couldn't understand what they were saying anyway. Um, and so I put on the radio. Um, and I had looked up during the Toll song and I was like, there was a billboard and it had his last name on it. That was another synchronicity. I was just like, this is a little crazy. And then I saw that You Lied song. Okay. And then I turned on the radio and it said, or the song was Blue on Black by Kenny Wayne Shepherd. And it says, truth lies an in between, slipped from the tip of your tongue, wrong can't be undone. And I was like, geez, like gee whiz, like give me a break here. And then the next song that came on was Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots. And there's a part, it's like for what I've read between the lines, your lies. And it goes on and says you lie like three times during that song. And I'm just like, okay, this is getting a little eerie here. And now during this, I also noticed two license plates that said lies. Lie. It was spelled two different ways, but it still read lie. And I was like, okay, something weird is really happening here. And I was trying to focus on my driving. But anyway, after those songs about lies, Personal Jesus by Marilyn Manson came on, and it says pick up the receiver, I'll make you a believer. And I thought about the dream about the cell phone, and I looked at my phone and saw that email from him. And then it also goes on to say, uh, I'll make, or I'm a forgiver. And I was like, damn, okay, so is he forgiving me now? I mean, what's going on here? So, yeah, I know that's a lot, but I was driving, and by the time I got to my friend's house, I was like thinking, geez, I felt like Chris's soul was communicating with me and letting me know, I forgive you for your lie. You lied, and I forgive you for it. So I'm like, geez, thanks. And, um, so that happened. That was crazy. Um, and it's a common thing for me, like to have a dream and then wake up hearing a song, or even hearing a song in my dream. Uh, so I had a dream one time of a snake. I just remember seeing a snake on top of a sand dune, and it was a huge snake. And right before I woke up, I saw a flash of light on the snake, and then I woke up hearing Desert Rose by Sting. And then I watched that video and there was, the lyrics meant something to me. And then there was a sand dune in the video. I thought that was really weird. That was a cool synchronicity. Um, And kind of the last thing I want to talk about, the examples that I have right now, um, is it starts in 2015 when I had my walk in. One of the things that I thought and I was confused about, um, is just the thoughts that were in my head, and I'm like, why is this in my head? I don't understand why I'm thinking these things. And I thought my consciousness, as a punishment, since felt ashamed of my body, that my consciousness was going to be transferred into this house cat that was over there, and I was going to be inside this cat going meow meow, and nobody would know it was me. And that terrified the crap out of me. I took off running out the house. um, yeah, so that's what and during that initial awakening, that when that first happened, I kept experiencing this feline presence, this black feline presence, communicating with me. And it didn't make sense for a lot of years. But then several years later, I actually had a dream where I saw the name Malin spelled out Maelen, all caps. And I looked that up on Google, and it came from this book, Moon of Three Rings by Andre Norton. And this was written in 1966. So once I discovered this book, I had to go out and buy it, and of course I read it. And now there is some spoilers in here. If you ever want to read this book, you might want to not listen for a couple of minutes. But so Maylin in this book is an animal trainer who has the magical power of swapping souls. And she swaps the soul of a man, the consciousness of a man, into a dog-like creature, this dog that's here on the cover. See, that's Malin here, and this is the Crit Vorland is his name, that she swaps him to save him and protect him. She swaps him into this dog creature here. Uh, which that's like, what? Really? What in the heck? And this was written way before I was born. And so at the end, at the end of this book, it and I can't remember exactly. It's been a couple or a few years since I've read this book, but as punishment, I think either Malin or the guy has to go into as punishment. Her consciousness has to go into a cat. And once I read that, I was just blown away. I mean, really? So, I mean, imagine all of the setup that went into that. And it's interesting because the other day I looked up Andre Norton just to see other books that she's written, and it showed a picture of her with a black cat. She's holding this black cat, and I thought that was interesting too. So, yeah, it was Malin, really. I guess that's me. But then the other day I opened this back up to take a look at it, and when my cat Malin passed, I named my cat Malin. He was a black tabby cat. This is the from the vet uh that I took him to the day that he passed away. And I actually wrote about that experience on my blog, and I think I did a video about that. But the patient ID 59109. I mean, 109, that's a huge synchronicity for me. 19109. And then something really weird. And this is okay. So a year later, 7/24, I believe that's the day. That's either Chris's birthday or the day that I met him, July 24th. And that's listed as Malin's birthday. So that was the day that Malin passed away. And I can't see, I don't have bifocals, that's why I'm doing like this. But I remember just this is the last thing that I want to mention. This is crazy. And to me, another proof about what's really on the other side is something intelligent. When Malin was laying on the table there at the vet's office, his weight was reading 10 pounds. And then I was sitting there, I watched, they were going to have to euthanize him, but they sedated him first. And during the sedation, he wasn't able to breathe. And God, that breaks my heart. But after he passed away, the scale went to 9 pounds, 9 ounces, 9.9. And so that's what it actually says was his weight on that paper is 9.9. Um, so yeah, I am convinced that there is a higher power. My hair is wet. It's looking crazy, but I didn't feel like fixing it today. But yeah, uh, thanks for listening. And I tried to keep it as short as possible. But I have so many of these stories. It's just insane. I might eventually do another synchronicity video, but yeah, that's proof to me right there that things aren't always what they're cracked up to be in this world. So hang in there. Bye bye.